Point After Podcast with your host, Julien Barnett.
Welcome in, fantasy world. How you guys doing? It's good to see everybody. I am Julien. You are listening to the Point After Podcast on the True North Podcast Network, coming to you as always from the Great White North. This week, I am thrilled to have Chris Robin on. Chris, you and I, we have been good buddies, over the internet for, the better part of 2 years now. And I'm just so excited to finally connect with you. And yeah, we got an exciting show on the docket. So how are you doing, man?
I'm great. Thanks for having me. This is a long time coming. I remember specifically before the start of the season, we were in that Twitter sphere draft, right? And it kind of fell apart before the season even started, if I'm not mistaken. Everybody hopped out or something like that. But you were one of the first people that I actually connected with on social media, and I didn't know how to tweet, a year and a half ago. And then I would see every time it was your turn to draft, the idea was you send it out, top 4 guys, let Twitter make the decision. And I've never seen so many hashtags and so many ats in my life in terms of a tweet. So I kind of learned from you how to get the attention of other people and, get your stuff where you need to go. So thank you for that.
Man, I'm happy to have hosted that, and I'm actually glad you brought that up, because that's something that this year I've actually started working on an actual game plan for it. Last year when I started that up, I had this vision and I didn't actually put it down on paper and really create it as a structured thing. So it was it fell apart, like you said. So that was a bit of a bummer, but honestly, I loved the idea, and I'm super excited to bring it back again next year. I'm going to do it as a redraft instead of a dynasty, which I think will, really kind of change things. And you can also get some better user engagement closer to the season as well in a redraft or season long style. So I'm excited to do that. If you guys don't know what the Twitter sphere was or is, basically, yeah, you have 4 players that you're willing to pick from, and then you post a poll on Twitter, and Twitter decides who you draft. And so our entire teams were built that way of Twitter polls and of that kind of stuff. And then it just kind of fell apart in terms of we didn't really know how to go about trading and free agency and setting lineups and stuff like that. So this year I've got some stuff in store that I'm pretty excited for. So yeah, man. Thanks for bringing that up, and thanks for coming on.
Oh, absolutely. And from what I remember, it's not like anybody like friendships were broken, bonds were broken because the thing split up. It's a great idea. It's a great idea. If I'm so lucky to be chosen, I'd love a seat. I'd love a team for this coming season's Twitter Sphere Redraft League.
You are certainly welcome back, Chris. I would be happy to have you. And you specifically really focus on DFS, right? You run your DFS cheat sheet website. You're putting out, not just fantasy football content, but MLB, NHL, you name it, all kinds of stuff. Kind of take me through that process, how you got started. I know that like when we met, we were on Facebook together. That's how you and I started talking, and then we both kind of moved over to engaging on Twitter, and you've created an amazing atmosphere over there on Facebook. Tell me about that. Get me inside your head.
Sure. It's a wild place. My mind is nowhere really people want to go alone. They say, I've heard in support groups meetings, like Alcoholics Anonymous or Gamblers Anonymous, they say, my mind is a dangerous place. I never try and go in it alone here. So if you want to come with me, let's go together here. So in terms of my own personal content, like Bottom of the Barrel is, it's my biggest hit. There's no secret about that. It's a good article. I've been writing that off and on for probably 5 or 6 years. And, this going website to website, just publishing it and producing it, throughout the years. And I finally found a home for it at DFS Cheat Sheet for this season. And it all started, same thing with my hockey stuff, because I believe in like 2012 or 2013, when DFS was created, nobody really knew about it. It wasn't a big deal, not nearly as massive as it is now. I mean, there's hundreds of websites and optimizers and paid services you can join, to get your lineups dialed in. So rewind 7 or 8 years ago, there was none of that. And I was very excited to play that. Hockey, definitely baseball, and football. People don't know. Football is like my third favorite sport. It's hockey, baseball, and then football here. But I couldn't find the content I was specifically looking for. I had, like you with the Twitter sphere, I had an idea in my mind of what I wanted and how I wanted it to read, like specifics. And I said, you know what? I can't find any of it. Who's stopping me? I can create my own. I can write it my own way. Excuse me. Sell it or produce it for other people. Like, we'll fine tune it together, right? I like to think I take suggestions. I'm not a hard guy, to get along with or work with. So along the way, bottom of the barrel it was like 4 or 5 players. It was just, you're in and out. It was kind of boring back then. But as the weeks and the months and the years have gone by, what you have in front of you now, like the Super Bowl one that's published out now, like that's the growth of me personally, in terms of my writing, my publishing, my sharing it around here. So and again, I couldn't find what I was looking for, and I turned to so many people. Twitter, I don't think I wasn't on Twitter if it was even available in 2011 or 2012. And then some of the the bigger websites, the massive conglomerates, excuse me, nobody answered me back. I would send emails. I would try and, find people on Twitter. I created my Twitter page like 4 or 5 years ago, never used it because I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know how to get interactions. People sure as heck weren't DMing me back. And we're talking again, the head honcho guys. The only guy that ever replied, 2 guys that only replied back to me, and we share emails every once in a while. It's Matthew Barrett, ESPN, Dave Richard at CBS Sports, and you can smatter in a little bit of Jamie Eisenberg at CBS too. So those 3 guys I'll always look up to them and respect them. They got back to me, even if it was to say, Mr. Barry, Mr. Richards, how are you doing? I love your content. Thanks so much. Do you have, I'm looking for something specific. Matthew Barry and Jamie Eisenberg would get back to me in a matter of days here. So I appreciate their friendship, and I appreciate them for kind of paving the way for what we're doing here. Because as you know, Julien, there's thousands of podcasts. There's thousands of, dynasty sites or dynasty stuff and DFS stuff. It's very watered down at this point. So I thought, heading into the season, bottom of the barrel was there. I just wanted to, how can I kind of bring it to the forefront, like let it be known that I'm not fooling around. I want my stuff to be looked at, respected, read, shared, and go from there. And I'm very happy, and I couldn't have done it without all of you guys. Everybody that's read it and shared it has made it a massive hit. We went over half a million total views for the season, cumulative, throughout from week 1 to where we are now. I just went over 500,000 views championship Sunday. So playing with the house's money this weekend in terms of views, but that's never what it was about. Money has never been a motivation for me either. My motivation is to connect with people like you, connect with people on social media, network, build friendships, build, things along those lines where, yeah, you can come on my show, you can go on mine, you can guest spot in my article, let me get it. Just everybody's hanging out, they're sharing, but there's one goal in mind, and that's to succeed, and we can all make it. There's no reason for me to use your neck, Julien, on my rung of the ladder here. We can all make it. Let's all go together, and we can all go to the top together. So, being selfish and being, I don't want to say timid, but like being selfish and rude and I'm better than that. I don't get down like that. Everybody has a place, and we can all make it together. So that's what my mind is looking like at this moment, Julien.
I love it, man. I love it. And I love the way you put that because, I love this community. I have since I started on Twitter. They basically picked me up and carried me off into the sunset to be a fantasy analyst, as some might say. So, I envision a giant fantasy football press conference in a year or two from now when things go back to normal, where we can all kind of get together. Like, man, I just want to meet everybody, like I want to put faces to these amazing fantasy minds, right? Like that's the thing that I just love in this community, is there's just so much knowledge to pull from, and you got to respect it. And it's really great. So I'm happy to have you on.
Here's the thing for me, real quick, if I may. So I had an old friend of mine. He's still around, an old Italian friend of mine. He said, well, no matter where you, in terms of city or state, no matter where you go, there's going to be crime, there's going to be filth, there's going to be horrible people. But on the other side, there's going to be nice, happy, helpful people. It's all up to me. It's all up to you to choose what side of the street you want to be on. Do you want to be on the helpful, supportive side, or do you want to be a jerk and kind of suppress everybody else around you and step on people's throats and go from there? So ultimately it's up to us to make the decision. And again, no matter where you go, and I'm trying to, like Twitter, social media is the same way. If you want to be a jerk, you want to put people down, you want to tear people up and stuff, you can do that. You can find that in 2 seconds on social media. But if you want to be friendly and just about growing and getting better, you can find that too. And it's all about which side that you choose. And obviously I choose to be helpful and supportive here. So again, long time coming. I'm very excited if you didn't know.
Well, let's get into it, man, because we've got a pretty big slate. We're going to fill out a few DFS Super Bowl Sunday DFS lineups, which, as we talked about, this is your specialty. So I'm hoping you can win me some money, because I keep losing, Chris. So I want to ask you this before we get into it. What player, maybe there's 2 players out of this game that you must have for DFS. Who is it? You're muted, my man. Yo, Chris, you're muted.
Sorry about that. I try not to say something silly when when the microphone's not on. So as I was saying, I have a whole notebook, highlighted tab. So 2 guys that are must-haves for me this weekend. It is undoubtedly Leonard Fournette. Tampa Bay, they're playing Kansas City. Kansas City is 17th overall against opposing running backs. Single game slate, he's $12,500 on FanDuel. He's $7,800 on DraftKings. And then the second guy must have, it's Tyreek Hill. And that's no secret. 14,000 on FanDuel, 10,400 on DraftKings. Now, again, Tyreek Hill is going to be, take a guess, probably 95% owned. So he's kind of, him and Patrick Mahomes this weekend, they're like free squares. Everybody's going to have them. So it kind of shortens up our roster where, Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, they're going to take up 2 spots. So it's up to us to pick 3-4 other guys that are really set ourselves apart in terms of a lineup. But this question that you asked me, Leonard Fournette and Tyreek Hill. Yeah,
I love it. And the philosophical, sorry, guys, my cat is walking around my computer. Just one second. Okay. Sorry. So the philosophical, point that you made there is great, right? Everybody is going to be drafting Patrick Mahomes for one, probably Tom Brady, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill. I would say those are the 4 most owned players in this lineup. So, if you're playing in those high stakes games, you need to be able to pick some of these guys, these lower tier guys who are going to hit. So let's kind of dive into it. I'm going to just share my screen with you guys here. I'm going to pull up a DraftKings lineup for Chris and I to fill out, and then we'll go from there.
Awesome.
Boom.
Should be good. Oh yeah, that's beautiful.
All right, perfect.
Beautiful.
Perfect. So I'm gonna put your 2 in there right away. You want Tyreek in the captain spot?
I'd prefer Leonard Fournette in the captain spot this weekend.
Right.
Now, Julien, it depends. Now, is this lineup going to be in like a smaller cash game contest, or is it going to be in the big daddy GPP kind of millionaire makers contest?
Here, so this one's a 1.5 million, but it's only $3 buy-in. So huge, obviously, in terms of entries. Basically banking on upside.
It's perfect. So for this case, I would love to put Leonard Fournette in the captain spot if you don't mind.
No, I'm good with it, man. I am good with it. And then we're going Tyreek Hill. So that gives
Oh,
us 27,900 to play with here. In terms of wide receivers, on the Bucks, who are you looking at? Like, do you think this is a Chris Godwin game or Mike Evans?
Well, to be fair with you, Kansas City, one of their biggest weaknesses is the center of the field, and for that, I love Chris Godwin. That's like his neck of the woods. He is basically their slot guy. Mike Evans is their big, downfield post kind of guy, where Godwin is able to roam free in the middle of the field. So of those two, I would prefer Godwin. And looking at my notes here, Godwin is $400 more expensive than Mike Evans, but we're talking apples and oranges here. So give me Chris Godwin in that spot.
Yeah, man, I love it because I actually filled out my own version of this lineup earlier today. And, Godwin was my must-have player in this game because I think he can feast with Tom Brady in the middle of the field there in a game that I'm expecting to be a surefire, high-scoring game. I love it. Now, we only got 3 spots left, basically 6,000 per person, or we could drop down and take one of these really, lower tier guys and try and bank on some upside on some higher tier. What do you think?
Well, now we get to the point where, the first 3 picks, in most lineups, most weeks, people get enamored by the big names. Well, those big names are very expensive. So if you spend up on your first 3 spots, your next 3, as you said, have to be within reason here. For that simple fact, I love Gronk this weekend. If I'm going to be honest with you, I love both Tampa Bay tight ends. And that's kind of risky, ballsy, if I may, to put Cameron Brate and Rob Gronkowski into the same lineup. But again, I think there's a lot of room to be had in the middle of the field for those guys this weekend.
So I thought this was really interesting because Brate is $1,800 more expensive than Gronk is. And, we basically, when we see Gronk, we see recently this year, it's kind of a touchdown or bust or, like one big play. But with an $18,000 discount, I think that you almost have to go that way.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. If I had to choose of the two, it would be Rob Gronkowski. I mean, the guy has all the experience. He's played with Brady
there before.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Brady in
the Super Bowl.
And I'm with you. You would have thought you would, at first glance, like, Sunday night, Monday morning, whenever the slate was, made available for us. I'm shocked that it's not the other way around, that Gronk is at $4,800. And Cameron Brate isn't $3,000. And to be honest with you, I have Gronk projected about 7.5 points, where I have Brate at about 6.2. So you're getting more pointage, if that's a word, from Gronk. And Cameron Brate, you're getting less, and he's more expensive. So if you're more comfortable, then let's roster Gronk, and then we'll see where the rest of the lineup takes us.
Well, I think that between those two, it could come down to a touchdown. And I think you're flipping a 50-50 coin on who's going to grab it. So I'm going to take the value, take the easier play, and swing for the fences with our other 2 picks. Because by taking Gronk, we actually freed up a good chunk of availability in our lineup. So I'm actually about Patrick Mahomes here. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. How can I say no to Patrick Mahomes this weekend, any day of the week? I mean, he's normally and surely the best player on the field every time he's on the field. So at $18,000 in just in a regular spot. Let me see what I have. So I have him for about 26.5 points, just regular without the captain spot. In the captain spot, you're looking at 39-ish, 40-ish points here. But again, there's 1.5 million people in here. I'm guessing 1.4 million people are going to have Patrick Mahomes in their captain spot.
For sure. Well, and like we said, this gives us some room to play with. So, now $4,100 left. Obviously, we can go with either the kickers here, Scotty Miller, either defense. Where do you lean with that? Like, I generally like to work a kicker into my lineup, but oftentimes, like, the defense is what'll win you a big week, from multiple touchdowns or whatnot. So, which way do you lean there?
Well, like most, I don't play single game slates often. When I do, it's kind of like, Sunday night football or Monday night, like primetime games. And well, the Super Bowl is the biggest prime time game we can think of here. And I'm just looking down my list here. You know, Scotty Miller fits the bill. If you want a punt play with rookie Tyler Johnson, even Ronald Jones is only $2,200 on FanDuel, which is shocking to me. And I just want to give you one thing I'm doing. I'm going to have probably 75 to 80% exposure to Kansas City running back Darrell Williams. And again, this is just, you know, a strategy of mine here. I firmly believe that people are going to be flocking to Clyde Edwards-Helaire this weekend, and that's fine. He's going to get high ownership rate, and if he lays an egg here, people that roster, as I said, Darrell Williams, we're going to be at a huge advantage here. Darrell Williams has been unbelievably good for this Kansas City team. Yeah. You know, along the playoff run. Now, I know I shouldn't have brought that up because he's $5,200, so we're a little shy there. McCole Hardman's even $5,600 here. So, in terms of a kicker or a defense, of the two, I would think that I would like the Buccaneers defense here, and they're $2,800. So, plug in Tampa Bay's defense here and then see what we're left over with, and then that's how and then we can add or subtract a guy after that here, because again, you might think, well, it's a Super Bowl, the final, I think the over under in this one is 62.5 points. So if you split it down the middle, 30-30, right, just before the coin flip here. So why would you start any defense in this game, let alone the Tampa Bay Bucks against Kansas City? Well, sacks count for major points, and I see the Bucks sacking Mahomes.
They can score.
Yeah, I see Tampa Bay sacking Kansas City 3, maybe 4 times. I know that's crazy, but look, they have a stud defensive line. They have one of, if not the best linebacker in football in Devin White. They're going to crash the ends, and we know that Patrick Mahomes he's electric. He's a dynamic playmaker, but a lot of that stuff is him, holding the ball a little bit longer than the coach or the offense would like, him trying to make a play, underhanded throw, a sidearm throw here, and it's going to catch up with him at least 3 or 4 times in this game, and he's going to take a sack. So I love the idea of rostering the Tampa Bay Bucks DST.
Yeah, well, and they scored, 4 times throughout this year. One of the most prolific defenses in terms of scoring, and like you said, in sacks and turnovers. They rank in the top half of the league in both of those categories. So, I actually like the Bucks here. And if they do score, like this is, that's the type of play you're banking on is like not a lot of people are going to be starting the Buccaneers against Kansas City in the Super Bowl. They're just not going to do it. So, I like that play there. It does still give us $1,300 wiggle room, but, I find it hard to really move any of these guys out. The only one that I could really see would be Gronk or Godwin. And really the benefit of moving on from Godwin, we can't even add Kelsey. So
do me a favor. Let's just fool around for a second. This is how I build the line. I see what's left, and then I subtract here. So let's take Gronk out and see what our total is here. Because again, I have a trick up my sleeve here for you and anybody else that's watching here live. And again, I know once this is all done, when the broadcast is over, you'll probably cancel the entry or you'll edit it in your own vein. But
no, I'm keeping
let's
these.
see
Chris,
what we got here.
I'm keeping these. But all right, so. Remove Godwin then and see what that gives us.
No, remove Gronkowski, the tight end here. We should have
just enough to get Sammy Watkins. I'd rather play Gronk.
Yeah, absolutely. So how much money we got left over? It looks like what, $4,300 here.
Mm-hmm.
Well, again, I would have loved to get Darrell Williams in there, but we're shy about $300 or $400 here. So, yeah, again, it makes sense to keep Gronk in there. I'm not going to look to – I don't want to pivot away from Gronk to Sammy Watkins, although you hear our rumblings all week, people on social media, that they make a hot take and they think it's set in stone. And a lot of people have talked about how good Sammy Watkins is going to be on Sunday. I just don't see it happening. And the upside here of Gronk and a touchdown is very limited, but he's going to be in on most plays. He blocks, he can run routes, things of that nature. And Sammy Watkins, he's the proverbial boomer bust guy. He could catch 8 passes for 100 yards, or he could just put up a goose egg. And again, in a contest like this with this many people, you just can't have a goose egg. Maybe in a full lineup in the middle of the season, but we have little to no room for error on Sunday.
Yeah, no, I agree. Feels weird, but I'm actually pretty content going with this. The only other thing I could think would be to move Fournette out of the captain spot and flip another guy in there and see what that kind of does in terms of our salary.
Sure. Here's what I normally do, if it makes any sense. So I'll put this, a FanDuel, or I know we're on DraftKings now. So like, let's say this is me right now. I would enter that line, and then I would make several duplicate lines where everybody in that line, they would rotate. Then Tyreek Hill would be captain. Then Gronk would be captain. I'd go down the list. That's how I normally do it personally, on a Monday night game or a Sunday night game, as I said. And I'm going to do it Sunday here, where I will have literally, I will write everybody that's playing will be in the captain spot: Hill, Godwin, Evans, Hardman, Brady, and go down the list. Now, it gets costly, but when you're all said and done, you're looking at about $15 or $20 in lineups. But you're trying to get every combo at MVP you can, because that's the home run. If you miss out on the highest scoring guy not in the MVP spot, you could you'll get a piece of the pie, but you won't win the whole damn thing. And realistically, that's what we're looking to do. So that's how I do it. Everybody is a captain when I play. Just run the gambit in lineups.
I love it. Well, man, let's go ahead. We'll lock this one in. You and I can tinker around with that. I'm literally signed it. Come on. Sorry, guys.
Screenshot it. Save it.
I'll screenshot it. Yeah, I'll screenshot it. We'll get to that later. All right. Let's pull this off. Yeah, so I got 2 more for us, Chris. Pull them up here. This is number 1. So this is another big jackpot one, but it's less people buy in. So it's $10 entry, but yeah.
Those ones are exciting. And again, I'm not a rich man, but when I get in those $10 contests, or even the $50 head-to-heads, things like that, I take it very serious, because $50 is $50. I mean, if here in Detroit, we have the luxury of several casinos downtown. Obviously, given what's going on, they're not open here. But even on the FanDuel or the DraftKings Sportsbook, you can just get to a blackjack table or a roulette table at the right there, boom, right at the tip of your hand, tip of your fingers, I was looking to say. So with the point I'm trying to make here is, the more the entry fee is, the more we have to dial it in. There can be little to no room error. In, a million plus entry contest, we can play around and we can joke around, or we can make some half-hearted lines here, because, we still might be able to cash. But in a $10 small contest, we have to be perfect. There is, as I've said, little to no room for error here. So how many people are in this contest? As I can see, it looks like
over 500,000. It looks like 5.5. Yeah, 5.55 million total.
Okay, so this is still big enough where I would feel comfortable tinkering at the captain spot. Again, we know maybe in this kind of contest, 500,000 people, maybe the right move is to put Mahomes in the captain spot. Again, he's a free square. We know, so that that's a strategy we can play. Patrick Mahomes in the captain spot. We know right off the bat before kickoff, one player in before kickoff, we know, boom, we're in the upper echelon of entries. Everybody's going to have him there. Now it's about, the other 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys, to build a different lineup here. So Mahomes at the captain spot. I think this would be a nice time to pair him with Travis Kelce. What do you think?
Yeah, I like Kelce, and I also like, Darrell Williams. Like you had mentioned, 5,200 down here. I think he could be a value in this game. And I like to try and stick by a general rule of not having too much of one team, obviously. So, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and Darrell Williams rounds out our Chiefs. And let's see what we have in terms of money left. So we got 15,000, which is actually pretty good still.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. We've got, this is probably 70 points between the two of them with Mahomes in the captain spot. And then, Darrell Williams could go for 2 touchdowns. We don't know, but at 5,200, I think he's a value. You have any interest in Antonio Brown? He is coming off the injury. Still kind of questionable for the game, but it's the Super Bowl. I'm about 99% sure he's going to play. What do you think?
Well, AB is, as I think you said, he's $6,200 here. He's been limited, and does that even matter with a veteran like him? I know it surely doesn't matter for Tom Brady. If a guy is on the field, Tom Brady is about his business. He will find him. I just don't think there's going to be a lot of room for Antonio Brown this weekend, given what Tampa Bay's game plan here. It's Evans, Godwin, Gronk, and then Leonard Fournette, and that's about it realistically. Rojo might take away a couple screen passes or swings, maybe. How many targets do we think Rojo gets this week? 3 or 4, and that's even on the high side here. And even if Antonio Brown, this isn't Pittsburgh Steeler, 2010 Antonio Brown, where he commands 9 or 10 targets a game. Now, a devil's advocate would say the limited amount of time he's played with Tom Brady, TB12 has shown an interest in targeting Antonio Brown, kind of like in LA with Golf and Cup. There was a few games where Cup has 5 or 6 targets in the first quarter alone. And if Tom Brady and Antonio Brown find that stride in the Super Bowl, we'll be screwed for not having him in, although I don't think it's happening. So a very long-winded way, Julian, of saying Antonio Brown is no interest of me in this lineup here.
I like it. I think we should actually be going for the alternative receiver who I think could get some run with the injury coming into play. I don't think Brown's going to come in and play more than really like 50% of snaps. So I'm all about Scotty Miller here. Tom Brady loves him. 3,400 can get a long touchdown, big play upside, and yeah, I mean he in some games can just have a really safe floor too. And we talked about Tom Brady peppering the middle of the field, and that's kind of where Scotty Miller does a lot of his work is in the middle of the field area there. So I like him at 3,400. What do you think, Chris?
100%. I mentioned him in bottom of the barrel, and just to cover all my bases here, Scotty Miller is $6,500 on FanDuel, and as you can see, he's $3,400 on DraftKings. And now I'm in my mid-30s. I've seen plenty of Super Bowls. I've seen plenty of big spots and moments here, and every time in the Super Bowl or a big game here, someone has to step up and be the hero. Legends are born, as they say, in the Super Bowl, and it's very hard to project it outside, the top 5 guys, the quarterbacks, the running backs, and the wide receiver ones here. Scotty Miller is outside of that fray. He's not a stud. He's not a must play in all formats. He's not even the best player, not even the 5th. He's probably the 10th best player on the field. But who's going to step up and be a hero on Sunday? Scotty Miller is on my short list of candidates. So very wise selection there, Julian.
I love it. I reluctantly started Scotty Miller after a big week in a dynasty league this season where I was super desperate and he goosed me. So this is my revenge tour on him. I'm hoping that he can pay off here. And then I kind of want to put your guy Leonard Fournette in here. 7,800. I still think that's a value for a guy who could see 2 touchdowns. Potentially 20 touches. And if he breaks a big one against what's not a great run defense, I think it's really possible. So 7,800, I'm about it. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, personally, I think I've been saying it for about 2 weeks now on all the broadcasts I've been on or articles I've written. I think Leonard Fournette has, an MVP, Super Bowl MVP caliber game in this one. Kind of out of nowhere, but not in the same way, if that makes any sense. He's been outstanding for Tampa Bay in the playoffs. And again, no one saw it coming. Rojo had a kind of a very good season, went over 1,000 all-purpose yards, but he's kind of, he's been injured in and out, some soft tissue injuries, and Leonard Fournette has been unbelievably good for Tampa Bay in this playoff run here, and I think he carries it over in the Super Bowl. Again, I'm not going to go back on anything I've said elsewhere because that would make me a weirdo. It wouldn't make me trustable or honest here. I think Leonard Fournette scores twice on Sunday, one on the ground, and one in the air. And again, if Tampa Bay wins the Super Bowl, it's going to be tough getting away from Tom Brady as MVP. But Leonard Fournette is my number one candidate to win Super Bowl MVP on Sunday. Call me crazy, but again, if it doesn't happen, people forget. It's not a big deal. If Leonard Fournette is the MVP, I'm a genius, right? So
that's true. You got that right.
It's give and take here.
Well, I've been saying Travis Kelce's going to be Super Bowl MVP for 2 weeks now, so we'll see what happens when the rubber hits the road this weekend. So it's $4,600 left. This is really like kind of interesting, right? We got Cameron Braid at 4,800 if we kind of wiggle around these pieces a little bit, or we can go with one of these kickers. Again, we could go with a defense and try and upgrade somewhere else. There's a lot of ways that we could go with this lineup still. What's your preferred option here?
Well, my preferred option here is just what I'll do. And I can only, speak on my personal process, how I build lines, right? And so far, so good. And then when I have, as you said, we have $4,500 left, if I'm not mistaken. $4,600. So I will scroll down. I will go to the bottom of the barrel here. No pun intended. And I'll see what we're working with. Now, there's a ton of people, like the rookie Tyler Johnson's $1,200. Well, if we plug him in, that would leave, 30, a ton of money to maybe upgrade elsewhere if we wanted to. But is that even necessary to do? And one thing I want to mention before we pick another guy is a lot of people, they freak out about leaving money on the table here. Like on social media, there are the RB truth, the zero RB. There's all different crews of people, and people that are scared to leave money on the table. That's its own faction of people. And personally, in a single game, it doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me in a full slate of games. If I can get in my players that, match what I'm trying to do, then so be it here. So with $4,800 left, I think it'd be a good idea to consider Rob Gronkowski. Again, I know we're double dipping on here, or even take one of the like Demarcus Robinson. I know he was put on the COVID IR, or not IR, but kind of close contact. I guess they all got haircuts or something like that. So we're kind of, if I may say it, with the amount of money we have left, it might seem like a lot, but I kind of feel like we're in no man's land right now. It's either, we're going to go with a $200 player, a guy that's $1,200, or we're going to be short a couple $100 trying to get in, Cameron Brate or McCole Hardman here. So,
we don't even want to. Like, I don't really want to. I don't want, like, we just touted Scotty Miller, Leonard Fournette, Darrell Williams, and obviously Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes are going to be Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes. So I don't think that there's a whole lot of wiggle room here. I love what you said about not wanting to, or about people wanting to not leave money on the table. Like, that's huge. But in all honesty, like how rare is it going to be that you fill out the lineup perfectly and all those players hit? And leaving money on the table is probably a good thing. In reality, it probably gives you a little bit more, a little bit of a better chance at winning, because not everybody else is doing that, right? Most people are trying to fill out their lineups completely. Most people are trying to use all of the cash that they have available to them to make the best lineup. But I think in this case, like, I have a great feeling about Fournette. I like Scotty Miller. I like Darrell Williams, and then we got our two studs in Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. So I'm good with it, man. I like that there.
100%. So what? While you were talking, I was kind of, I don't know if you look, my brain was starting to hurt. I was thinking so much, but the two or three options to me are: do we go with Kansas City's kicker Harrison Butker? I have him $4,000 projected right at about 10 fantasy points, which is solid. We know what we're going to get there. There's kind of no guessing involved. He's going to excuse me, if Kansas City scores 3 or 4 times, then we can count on 3 or 4 points, extra points here. Will he kick a field goal or two? So, he could easily hit 9 points, 12 points maybe, and he's $4,000. But that's the safe route. Do we want to be safe in such a big contest?
There's no upside, right? Like,
yeah, it is what it is. You can lock him in on, right there, 8 to 10 points, and you're good. Or we could do we want to double dip it on the Tampa Bay running backs, Rojo and Leonard Fournette? Would it be odd? Are they going to be vulturing off each other, or can they both get into the game? One guy's running between the tackles while Rojo is catching passes, on the outside here. It's all part of our own personal game plan, or how we have worked out the game script in our head. And again, all season, I think I was made fun of for doing this, but it's worked out where when I write my DFS stuff, like bottom of the barrel or even hockey, I come up with my own game scripts, like fake narratives or how I think it's going to go, because in that case, then I talk myself into rostering a guy like Rojo. Oh yeah, Leonard Fournette's going to score twice, but Rojo is going to catch 5 passes for 70 yards, which would be fantastic because DraftKings is a full point PPR. So you get 7 points for the yard.
Yeah.
And 7, 8, 9 in catches here. So you're looking at 12 total points. It's how do you think it's going to go here? And again, personally, I would rather roster a guy like Rojo over a kicker. I rarely play it safe in terms of a big contest like this.
Yeah.
There's more upside. But the floor is a lot lower here. So it's all up to you. It's all up to the person who's building their own line here.
Well, and that's why I like Gronk too, is because I think he has that upside, right? I think his floor could be 3-4 points. He could have 1 reception for 28 yards, and that be his game. But I could also see, Tom Brady going to him in the red zone 2 times. Like you said, I think the over under on this game is 56.5 points. Like, I expect a lot of points to be scored here, and I'm taking the over on that. So I think Fournette could score twice. Travis Kelce could score twice. Gronk could score once. Like, Cameron Brate could score. And that, that doesn't even fill out our 56.5 points. So, I'm about it. I like Gronk with Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. I'm happy we're double dipping here, and I want to lock it in.
Awesome. It's definitely not going to be a defensive battle here. I will. Yes. I'm not going to say something stupid or crazy, but if the final was 16-10, I would be shocked. It would be insane.
I too would be pretty surprised by that. It
would probably wind up being the worst, most boring Super Bowl ever, given the 2 teams that are playing. I believe Kansas City averages 26 or 27 points a game, and Tampa Bay's no slouch either with what they have. So
especially recently, like down the last 8 weeks of the season, they've been playing lights out, man. They're a fun team to watch right now. So I'm so excited to watch this game, right? Like, just the narratives too that go into it. Like, leave DraftKings and DFS and all this stuff aside. Like, this is Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes playing in the Super Bowl against each other. Like, we might never see this kind of a iconic game again. And I'm so excited, man. It's going to be a lot of fun.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because real quick, we've seen Tom Brady his whole career, let's say the last 4 or 5 years. People just hate him. They dislike him. They say he stinks. They're sick of him winning. Whereas in me, I have no real dog in the race. I mean, he played at Michigan, where I saw him play a bunch of times. That's where I live. And I support the guy. I like the guy. And instead of hating on somebody, or like both ends of the spectrum, like really high highs, or really, I hate the guy's guts. Oh, I love him. I want to have his baby. Just stop and smell the roses. We're watching history here. Again, I don't think another quarterback will ever win that many Super Bowls in the history of the NFL. And again, if he wins on Sunday, that's 7. I don't think 6 is ever duplicated. So to say 7, that's unbelievable. So whether you love him or you hate him, I know social media is toxic, and people like to, kid around, or I hate him, he, ha, ha, ha. But stop and watch this while it's happening, because there was guys like, Dan Marino or Steve Young, Fran Tarkington, for God's sakes, when before I was born, or when I was, that my dad and my grandpa used to talk about. And this is our our era, to watch Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes really, carve out another legacy here. So I'm all for it.
I'm pumped, man. Well, and I think I wanted to touch on that too. Like, the only person, in my opinion, who can get back to 6 touchdowns would be Patrick Mahomes. Or sorry, not touchdowns, but Super Bowls. And like, this would be number 2, right? If he can take down Tom Brady in the Super Bowl, I think that goes a long way towards his potential legacy. If he wins 2 or 3 more down the road too, I mean, he's still just 25 years old.
Yeah,
extremely bright future. 26, sorry, extremely bright future in front of him. I'm like I said, I'm just so excited. So
yeah, if
sorry.
Kansas City wins and it's Patrick Mahomes, this would be his 2nd Super Bowl in his 3rd season. Correct here. This is only his 3rd season in the NFL. Yeah.
I think this is his 4th, but his 1st he sat basically the whole year. He played the last game or whatever, and then
yeah.
Makes sense. But anyways, yeah. So again, like, he has never missed the playoffs, and he's won 1 Super Bowl. He has a Super Bowl MVP. It's just remarkable what he's able to do, and you see it in his play. Like, just a phenomenal player. Tiers above the rest in terms of his athletic ability and his knowledge and just his game sense. So I love watching Patrick Mahomes play. He's one of my favorite players. And
he looks when he's out there playing football, when he's on the field in game action, it looks like I've heard this from other people, from friends that I grew up with that played D1 football or basketball, baseball, whatever. Even some pros that I've chatted with, they say the best players, everything slows down. It's like they're literally slow motion, and that's what Patrick Mahomes is. He's not flustered. He doesn't freak out. He looks like everything is in slow motion, and that's saying something in the NFL, where guys are bigger, stronger, faster than they've ever been. Yeah, he is definitely on his way to the moon.
Yeah, no kidding, man. No kidding. So I got logged in, Chris. I'm gonna go and throw this down because I'm excited about this lineup. I think we could be winning $1.5 million. And if we do, I'll have to come back here and give you a little bit of that cash. So
thank you. I will fly to Calgary. I will walk to Calgary to pick up some money if you win 1.5 million. Oh, but it's going to be Canadian, right? I think the exchange rate is pretty much even at this point, isn't it?
No, we're way behind.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's like $1.30, $1.35 or something like that to one of our dollars. So yeah, I know. I always get excited because I go to buy things online. I'm like, oh, this is only $35. And then I go to ring it in. And it's $50. And then they add shipping on top of that, which is another $15. And now my $35 item is $70. So
born and raised here in Detroit, Ontario. Windsor is 5 minutes. It's a tunnel or a bridge away. So when 19 is the drinking age there. So when we turned 19, we would go to Canada all the time, go to the bars, go to karaoke. And I remember way back then, $25 USD, I would exchange it at the border, and I could drink all night on 25 American dollars. I think it was like 50, 55, sometimes even $60 in Canadian. So that's why I said at this age, or at this point in the game, it has to be even, but I guess not.
Well, you would think, but here we are. So yeah, it is what it is, man. When I get happy when I go down there and I can buy my liquor for cheap. It's a good perk. All right. So the next thing we're going to jump into is actually one of our sponsors here at the Point After and at True North, Monkey Knife Fight. If you don't know what Monkey Knife Fight is, you probably have never watched this podcast because I talk about it all the time. But really, it's the fastest growing DFS platform on the planet. It's really been blowing up, and we're just so lucky and happy to be partnered with them. So use promo code TNFF and get $50 matched on your first deposit. And now that I told you how much free money you're going to get, I'm going to show you a little video about what you can do there. So 1 second, guys. This is always enjoy.
If you want the best DFS player prop games in the industry, jump onto Monkey Knife Fight. Monkey Knife Fight is sweeping the nation right now, and we at True North are proud to be doing it along with them. They've got games for all sports and skill levels that are sure to keep you on the edge of your seat, with endless opportunity to watch your winnings pile up. With our promo code TNFF, Monkey Knife Fight will match your first deposit up to $50. So sign up now with our promo code and you can get up to $50 of free money to start making some bank. Again, that's monkeyknifefight.com and the promo code is TNFF at your first deposit to start playing today.
And for those of you who don't know, that is Trav, our True North Lord and Sealier, we call him, because his last name is Travis Steele. But he has that silky smooth voice on these Monkey Knife Fight ads, and I cannot not play them because I love getting that in here. So, speaking of which, I pulled up a Monkey Knife Fight prop bet for us here, so we can dive into this, Chris. We're going to do two real quick here. The first one is a 5-player slate. So these are a lot of fun. At times is 20 you're buying if you get them all right. And basically we're just going to do more or less. I want to do this one, more or less fantasy points, because you have all of your points down on your notepad. So this should be quick and easy for you to be able to
piece of cake.
Yeah, piece of cake. All these are PPR. No premiums or anything like that, but 6-point passing touchdown, PPR, all that fun stuff. So Patrick Mahomes, we have him at 26.5 fantasy points. Do you think he scores 27 or less?
Over. I have him as it stands now, probably in the 28 to 32, at the highest, and 26. What would you say? 26.5.
26.5. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty close, but I'm going to go above that in that one. I fully expect him to throw for 3 touchdowns and 300 yards. That's his floor. I mean, as you look on all these prop bets for the Super Bowl, it's his over under for yards is 329 yards. How insane is that? So definitely over.
Yeah. No, I'm taking the over on that too, because I expect him to hit the over on that yardage count, and that's more than half of this in total. And I think he throws for at least 3. So, I'm all about Patrick Mahomes on the more there. This one I'm hitting the more as well. I think this is pretty easy for me. Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. We've talked about him already, but 22.5 fantasy points. That's 3 touchdowns and 250 yards. That's easy for Tom Brady. I like it. What do you think?
Oh, yeah, I agree there too. Again, I expect him to throw for 3 touchdowns and 275 to 280 yards here, and that would be perfect.
Yeah, I hear you, man. The Travis Kelce one, this is where I get really stuck, because 23.5 points basically he needs to score 24 in order to hit the more. I've been saying, like I said earlier, he's going to be the MVP of this Super Bowl, and even at that, 23.5 points, that's a lot, man. I think he can go for 110 receptions. But if he doesn't get that touchdown, that's still not enough. So I'm a little bit hesitant to hit the more here. I think one of these guys has to be less, and it could end up being Kelce.
Well, yeah, I'm glad that you said that. Realistically, 24 fantasy points would be 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. Boom. That wouldn't even account for receptions. Is this a PPR kind of format here? Are they using that with their? Yeah. So 24 again without the receptions would be 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. That would put us right at 24 points. Then you throw in 5 or 6 receptions, so you're looking at 30. So again, you're really looking for either that extra touchdown or another 20 or 30 yards here. But personally,
just like a big play, yeah.
I have him for about 8. It's going to be close here, but I have him under 18 to 22 points personally. So I would go under in this one, or less, as they say.
Yeah. No, I'm actually leaning that way as well. Even despite my love for Travis Kelce, I'm a little. 24 points is a lot for a tight end to get, even when you're the best tight end in the game.
Yes.
And it goes to show here, right? We've got one of the best wide receivers in the game at 21.5 points, Tyreek Hill. And
I think this one is pretty, to me personally, it's more, and I'm not even thinking twice about it. Again, I kept saying, I've said it to anybody that would listen to me, Leonard Fournette is my favorite, but realistically, it's Tyreek Hill who's going to wind up winning the MVP if Tampa Bay wins, or excuse me, if Kansas City wins here. So yeah, over that is perfect. To be honest, it should be flip-flopped with Travis Kelce. Tyreek Hill should be at 23.5 and Kelce should be at 21.5. And even that would still make, I'd be so on the fence with Kelce, but that would make more sense to me. What about you?
Yeah, I have to agree, man. I think that Tyreek is the safer play out of these guys. The only thing that Kelce, excuse me, Chris, the only thing that Kelce has over Tyreek is, really just that PPR volume where he's getting peppered with targets. But we've talked about it time and time again. We talked about it on this podcast earlier. This defense, this Tampa Bay defense, they specialize in their running back core or in their linebacker core. They specialize in that area of the field. And, that's kind of where Travis Kelce gets most of his work in. So I think if I'm the Bucs, the two players that I'm obviously needing to shut down are Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill. And the one that they can really combat is Travis Kelce. So like we said, I'm going to take the less. I do think that these lines should be flipped. And if that were the case, I would probably take the more on Kelce. And the more on Tyreek. But, I've been playing Mike and Knife Fight for pretty much the entire season now. And, I've learned that it's never all more. It's never all less. You got to kind of play the game and pick your battles. So I like this one. And then this last one is a great line on Mike Evans, 14.5 fantasy points. Basically that's 100 yards and 5 receptions, or he gets a touchdown. I'm leaning the less here. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. So he's at 14.5. And to be honest with you, you're going to go nuts. You're going to laugh when I say this. I have Mike Evans for exactly 13.5 fantasy points on Sunday. So obviously that's not more than 14.5. So yeah, I agree with you less as well with Mike Evans.
All right, brother. I am. So we're going to throw $5 on that. That pays out $100 if we hit all 5.
That's fantastic.
See, now, come on.
Personally, I was introduced to Monkey Knife Fight probably mid-season. A website. A friend of mine reached out, and I was doing some consulting and some writing for them at the same time. And they asked if I could add in some Monkey Knife Fight bets there, and I hopped on, and I had a blast. I thought it's very unique. It's very specific, and I loved it. So to be fair, I don't think when I was, all so far this season, I never got into the more or less. I didn't even know that existed here. So thank you. Just another outlet for me here, Julien, to spend more money for Sunday.
Yes, of course. Well, and like I said, you can use that TNFF promo code and they'll match up to $50 on your first deposit. I know you
wrote it down. I wrote it down.
There you go. I love it. But yeah, no, I love what they're doing at Monkey Knife Fight. I'm going to submit that here, guys. Cause yeah, like I said, $5 pays out $100. That's, it's pretty good odds in terms of what you're looking at. So these are the other lines that I got going on for this weekend that I actually did earlier in the week. So yeah, man, that's kind of that. They do a bunch of different, more or less. They do fantasy points, yard totals, receptions. They even do like carries. They also have these things called touchdown dances during the middle of the season, which are a lot of fun. Touchdown dances are basically you pick 3 players and then you pick a total amount of touchdowns that they have to score higher than. So you could say Nick Chubb, Derrick Henry, Aaron Jones, and then you say 4.5 touchdowns between the 3 of them, and it pays out, like, depending on which touchdown you pick, it pays out a different amount. And those are always a lot of fun because, you can kind of, like I said, pick your battles, right? You can go, well, Derrick Henry has a great matchup in this week. I'm going to go and take him. I think he probably scores twice in this one. And then, you can kind of work around that too. So those are a lot of fun. I really quite enjoy them.
They sound fantastic, and I'm definitely going to look into getting more involved with Monkey Knife Fight, this next season here.
Yeah, no, they're great, man. And honestly, like, super professional, easy to work with. Have never had any issues. And I'm just super fortunate to be a part of it all. So
yeah, absolutely. Sounds like a match made in heaven with you, with Point After and Monkey Knife Fight here.
It sure is, and with TNF as well, all of the guys over at True North, we're all kind of on board with Monkey Knife Fight together, and it's just been a blast diving into it. Like if you missed, I don't know if you saw this, Chris, but we just did our lip sync finale a couple weeks ago, and that was sponsored by Monkey Knife Fight. The winner of that got $100 to Monkey Knife Fight. Wow. Second place got 50, and then we had, they had a bunch of merch and stuff that we gave out to the runners up and stuff. And it was just a blast, man. Like it's super cool experience to be able to put on that contest and and be able to get this sponsorship and be able to give back kind of to the community and have them kind of engage with us as well. So
I would imagine the guy who lip sync that Prince song, the video, and he was in the bathtub. Yes. He had the ruffled shirt on. I mean, did it even continue after that? I mean, there's no way somebody else did a better job. I believe he had lip liner on. There was like a purple bulb in the eye. It was a smoke machine. It was unbelievably fun.
Yeah, no, it was unreal. And man, I'm just so excited for next year's contest. It's going to be even bigger. We're going to be bigger. We're going to have more people involved, and I'm so thrilled that this is going to be an annual thing. It was a lot of fun. So, huge shout out to Monkey Knife Fight for all that. And then Chris, let's get into our last segment here. So we are going to be taking some Twitter questions as well as some Facebook questions, just from people who have fantasy questions that they'd like some answers to. So I'll read them off to you. You answer, and then I'll give my take after. All right.
Okay. Yes.
All right. Question number 1 coming in from Smokey, TNFF _ Smokey, okay. Josh Smokey Nelson. If you know him, he's a very exaggerating guy, so I can't believe that this doesn't have more exclamation marks on it. But who will be the Ruggs bust of this draft class?
Oh, the Ruggs bust. You know what? I'm not too schooled in what the rookies are coming out, but let's say for the sake of what we're doing here, that kid from Minnesota, what's his name, Bateman or something like that.
Oh man, that's my wide receiver 2 in this class, Chris. There you go. I actually think for me it's Kadarius Toney. Everybody's seen the videos of him at Senior Bowl, making a beautiful route and then dropping the ball wide open. But I have issue with players of that type of profile being able to be, fantasy relevant week in and week out. We really only see a couple outliers in guys like Tyreek Hill. And so, I'm out on Toney. That's my pick for that guy. Moving on to number 2. This one comes in from FF Dynasty Grill. Great guy on Twitter. Definitely go check him out. Posts a bunch of great polls as well as content himself. So who scores more points next season in a PPR league? Cam Akers, DeAndre Swift, or J.K. Dobbins?
Oh, that's a great question. I'm not saying this from a homer perspective here, but I think DeAndre Swift edges out both guys. It's going to be Swift, Akers, and then Dobbins in that order. I love all three of them. Stafford going to LA is going to be great for Akers if he can. If McVay and him can get together and he gets 20 plus carries a game, he's going to be an absolute stud. J.K. Dobbins is fantastic in his own right, but his upside, his red zone upside and his on the field upside is capped because Lamar Jackson. I mean, I'm not saying anything that's groundbreaking here. Even a casual fan can see that Lamar Jackson will take away some rushing touchdowns, some yards from him. And again, DeAndre Swift, I absolutely love the idea that Anthony Lynn is our offensive coordinator. He made a star out of Austin Eckler, and I fully expect the same thing to carry over for Swift. So Swift, Akers, and Dobbins in that order.
Yeah, I have to agree, man. I'm all about Swift. This is a guy who I look at as a PPR machine. Going into this offense, like you said, Anthony Lynn used Austin Eckler in that role, and Swift he has that same skill set. So he's my RB7, Dynasty RB7. I'm super excited about him in redraft. I'm excited about him in Dynasty. I'm trying to buy him wherever I can. But here, Gemoli Icon wants to ask you, Chris, do you like JK over Monty?
Sure. I'm a big DMont guy, so I'm going David Montgomery here. I've made no bones about the fact that I've always been a fan of David Montgomery, and he was fantastic this season. And I know Gemmo is a Chicago fan, so he'll probably like that. But I just can't get away from Monty. Now, again, will that answer change because who's the quarterback going to be in Chicago? We don't know. And the head coach Nagy, I believe he's gone, so that's all set. So whatever coach comes in to coach the Chicago Bears, they will notice that Monty is, I'm not saying he's the best running back on earth or he's like super special, but Monty does better with more carries. Who would have thought that a running back does better with more carries? And finally, DeMont saw some more work later in the season, and he was in the top 5 in a block of weeks leading up to the end of the season here. So of the two, I'm going to go David Montgomery because, I mean, it might work towards his favor. We don't know who the quarterback is. We don't know who the coach is going to be. And we already know what we're going to be getting out of J.K. Dobbins. And I love that kind of situation. This is J.K. Dobbins. This is what to expect. This is what we're going to get. There's no guessing game involved.
Yeah, I love the way you put that, man, because for me, it's like I have a couple factors that come into play here. It's one, like who's going to have the workload. And I think Dobbins does get a good chunk of workload, but he's obviously, as you said, Lamar Jackson takes a good chunk of rushing work from him. So, it's not 100%. I do expect that Tariq Cohen, when he comes back healthy in 2021, will take, a good chunk of receiving work, but they mostly use him in the slot anyway. They didn't even use him as a tailback that often. But what kind of worries me about Monty is that's that final 8-game stretch down the season. He looked amazing, but he didn't play a top 15 run defense in that span. He played against the Jags. I think he had the Falcons. The Packers were in there, I think, twice. Like it was just, it wasn't a great. He wasn't up against what we would consider great competition, but he still looked good on film, on tape. So that's the takeaway for me. He did look good. There's optimism about what that offense is going to do moving forward. Probably going to get rid of Mitch Trubisky. So I can see why you're there. I would go Dobbins over DeMont, but I can get why you're there.
And that's okay because he's in the NFC North. So, you can count on 2 crappy games from the Lions. Green Bay is going to. So Green Bay, Detroit, and Minnesota. So he's going to see 6 games against those teams. So his chances of being a top 15, top 10 running back, to me, are exponentially higher than a guy like Dobbins, given the offense. And Baltimore's sure to bring in a stud wide receiver of some sort here.
Yeah, I mean, they have to, right? Like, yeah. I was doing my film breakdown for my wide receivers this past week, and my favorite landing spot for Devontae Smith is actually Baltimore, because I think just that type of player in that offense, like they use him in the screen game at Alabama right now. He doesn't have to be getting the ball pushed way downfield. He's still an elite player when he gets the ball 2 yards, from the line of scrimmage, opposed to 15. And I just think it would be nasty to, how do you stop that much talent on that offense?
Yeah.
It would just be unreal. Yeah. Seriously, you can't stop. Yeah. So I don't think that he falls that far by any chance, but that would be my ideal favorite landing spot. Get Lamar Jackson some weapons, and, let's see what actually happens. Right. I mean, I like Mark Andrews. I like Hollywood Brown, but let's be real. Are these really elite options in the NFL? People talk about Lamar as like he's a bad passer, and he, to be fair, has had some very bad passing games, and he's missed some wide open receivers, but he doesn't have a whole lot to work with either, right? Like, think about a guy like Matt Ryan, who's always had elite wide receivers on his team that, could bail him out on a bunch of plays in a bunch of games. And so Lamar's never really had that. He's always just had his own legs to bail him out. So,
and here's the thing with Baltimore. I firmly believe their defense is only going to get better. They're young, they're fast, they're hungry, and they're only going to grow and get better. So personally, in the draft, that cuts your problem in half. We have a good defense. We have Queen and Humphrey and whoever else on that, so we can focus the first few rounds on offensive skill positions. And Baltimore is going to be unbelievably good and unbelievably hard to beat in the next, 3 seasons or so. With it, combined, not, you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, I got you. All right, so our third question comes in from Trey Lindell on Twitter at FF Superflex Guru. He wants to know Lamar, Josh Allen, or Kyler Murray in Superflex startups.
Well, I know Trey, been on his broadcast and his show a ton of times. So you said it was Kyler Murray, Josh Allen, and who was the third guy, if you could, please?
The guy we just talked about, Lamar
Jackson.
Yeah.
So in a super flex league, I would ask how many, I know this is getting weird or like I'm a freak or something, but how many points is a passing touchdown? If a passing touchdown is 4 points, I might give the edge to Kyler Murray. If a passing touchdown is 6, I'm going to go Josh Allen. I think personally, I'm going to go Josh Allen, Kyler Murray, and Lamar Jackson regardless. So my question didn't even matter.
Well, that's the way I go as well. For me, it's pretty clear cut. I have Josh Allen as my QB2 behind Patrick Mahomes for Dynasty, Kyler Murray at my QB3, and then Lamar Jackson is at QB7. So, that's the way I lean. Moving on to our fourth question, comes in from Stephen Perkins at Flavorize This. Comes in specifically for you, Chris. What's DeAndre Swift's value after the Stafford Goff trade?
I don't think it matters much what his excuse me, I shouldn't say it matters. His value hasn't changed much. If anything, you might give it a little bump because Jared, it doesn't even matter. Like you or me could be the quarterback of the Lions, and I think Swift's value would still rise a little bit because of the offense that he's in, the offensive coordinator, the new coaching staff. He's not kind of, suppressed by Matt Patricia or all that nonsense of the old regime here. So this new coaching staff, they're not dummies. They're very smart. I like what they're doing, and they know what they have here. And they're not going to pussyfoot around or try and play it safe. We're going to give AP the ball. We're going to work in Kerryon Johnson here. DeAndre Swift is going to be the focal point of this offense, and you or I could, handle and give him reps if he needed to be. And Golf coming in it's fantastic. Everything's going to be okay for Swift. Everything's going to be okay for Detroit Lions fans. And I know it hurts. It hurt me personally to see Stafford go, but to go from Stafford to Golf, I don't find it to be that big a deal. Number one, I don't like to fight or argue with people. Yes, I know Matthew Stafford is a better quarterback than Jared Goff, but people are making Jared Goff to be like he's, name some random bum quarterback. They're making him out to be like the kid started in the Super Bowl. Jared Goff is a good professional quarterback. Whether they trade him before the draft or I'm hoping that we see Jared Goff bridge the gap here in Detroit for a couple seasons. So again,
I think that's what they'll do.
Yeah, I don't think that Matthew Stafford, the trade for the swapping of Golf and Stafford affects Swift's value whatsoever. Again, I think it only ups his value. It has nothing to do with the quarterback, as I said. His value takes a bump up because of the new coaching staff and what they're looking to do long term.
Yeah, and it doesn't take a rocket scientist to see that DeAndre Swift is the best running back on that team. So, this new head coaching regime comes in, they're going to feature this guy. Like if they don't,
there's no way
what to tell you.
I mean,
I just don't know what to, like.
There's just no way.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly.
I keep saying it because it's that there's just no way that they bring in like an older veteran. Like the Lions aren't going to bring in Le'Veon Bell to kind of help. No, it's not happening. Swift is the guy in Detroit. Yeah,
he is. And Steve also wants to know over under on the amount of kneecaps bitten in 2021.
Oh, that's a low class question, Steve. Come on now. He gave me a heads up that he was going to reach out and ask a question here. I don't know, and again, him saying that, I don't find it, not Steve, but Dan Campbell, I don't mind that he said that. It only proves that he's excited and he's ready to get in and get to work, get his hands dirty. He's going to be headbutting players. He's going to get nuts. And that's what I like to see for, a new head coach, especially here for my hometown team.
Well, I laughed at that as well, but you can really just chalk that up. Like, this guy's nervous. It's his first press conference with a new team. I know it looks awkward, it looks weird, but I think you're right. He's gonna go into this team, and they're doing some great things there in Detroit, and so
I'm very
especially from where they were at, right? So
I know this
I'm
isn't
excited for you guys.
I know this isn't my broadcast and this isn't a Detroit Lions podcast, but real quick, I just want to say how excited I am for the long-term outlook of the Lions. I can't remember the last time the Lions had so many positive options here. You know, they could go a number of different ways. And by the time the Lions finally get it together, your guy is going to be done. He's going to be gone. He's going to be retired. And that's the day that everybody here in Detroit and even everybody in the North will kind of rejoice. Aaron Rodgers has kind of held the North hostage his entire length because he's that good. And I respect the guy. He's a fantastic quarterback, but I've had to live the last, 15 years not expecting much from the Lions because Aaron Rodgers is that damn good. And no matter what they do in Green Bay, as long as A-Rod is their quarterback, they're going to be in a playoff hunt. They're going to be in the NFC North hunt here. So, that's it. I respect the heck out of him, but I'm no ill will. I'm looking forward to the day that Rodgers says, you know what, I did everything I wanted to do. I'm just going to retire here and let the Lions maybe get some.
Oh, there you go, man. All right, and this guy, Gemmo the Icon here, he says, who do the Bears have at QB in 2021? Sorry.
Oh, that's a great question. It's kind of that's like a hot off the presses kind of topic here because I believe that Trubisky isn't going to be back. I don't think they picked up his option so Trubisky is gone. He's out. I also read today that they're looking to not re-sign, but bring back Nick Foles this season, which would be nuts. That would be shocking. And to be honest, I don't know who the Bears quarterback will be this season. I mean, the easy money, because I don't have anything in front of me, would be just mail my answer in. But Gemmo's worth more to that than me to just mail it in here. So let's get wild and say that maybe the Bears make a move for Jimmy G. You never know. It looks like Frisco is done with him. They're kind of over it, and I know they've been floating around the idea of letting Jimmy G walk. So whoever the quarterback for the Bears will be, they're in for a tough situation. They're put in they're boom right in it, right in the thick of things, kind of thrown to the wolves here. But I don't think it would be bad to see Jimmy G in Chicago this season. So having no factual basis for this, Gemmo or Julien, I'm going to go Jimmy G.
I love it. I heard a report today as well that the Bears are talking about maybe making a trade for Carson Wentz.
Oh,
so
okay.
I'm not sure how I feel about that because Wentz is one of those guys that obviously he looked rough on the field. When you actually go back and look at his fantasy stats, like he looked fine. He was in QB7 or whatever during the 8 games that he started. But what really concerns me about Carson Wentz is he looked scared on the field. He looked like he didn't know what he was doing. And he had no self-confidence. And now you're going to go to a team with, an even worse O-line. Obviously the Eagles have one of the better O-lines in the NFL, a lot of injuries this year, which played a factor, I think, in Wentz's, inability to, keep that confidence up. But ultimately, I'm really concerned if he does go to Chicago like that. I don't want any part of that offense, right? I think you've got a poor situation for him to go into, bad O-line. There's not really any weapons for, to bail him out. That would worry me. What do you think about that?
Well, I just want to let it be known. I don't feel one way or another about Carson Wentz. I'm not as big as fan, but I don't dislike the guy from a pure football watching perspective, from a fantasy football analysis perspective, not professional as of yet. But Carson, you're right. Carson Wentz he didn't look right. He looked something happened along the way from last season to this season where he was off. You're right. He was scared. He had no confidence. He was just kind of out there going through the motions because it looked like he was so crippled by the fear of some sort. You can't have that as a professional football quarterback. You can't have fear or any of that as a professional sports player of any sport here. And again, no way for Carson one way or another here. He's better. he's way better than what he showed us last season in Philadelphia. So again, I think it would be great for him to go somewhere else. They always say that there's another group of people, as I said earlier in the broadcast, that the grass is greener. The grass is always greener people, or the change of scenery people, right? And I think he would do very well with a change of scenery here.
I don't think it can get worse. So that's my
I'm with you.
That's my take on it. Like I have to agree. I don't dislike Carson Wentz. I don't love Carson Wentz. I always thought that he was a little bit overrated because of he had this MVP season and then he got injured and he was never able to like really get back to that caliber again. And like we talk about the lack of confidence, and you wonder if it's a head coaching thing, like if it was Doug Peterson and now he's out the door. Does that open up an avenue for Wentz to move into a starting spot with the Eagles? Or like you said, does a change of scenery really just help him as a whole?
The more I think of it personally, I do believe that it was a coaching, something with the coaching. The coaching staff didn't know what they were doing. And in turn, Wentz didn't know what he was doing in a way. I mean, they have Miles Sanders, one of my favorite running backs in the NFL, and they didn't use him like they should have. And it kind of threw a wrench into the whole inner workings of the Philadelphia Eagles here. So they say, actions have consequences, and Doug Peterson didn't make very good decisions, and in turn it affected the whole team, more importantly Carson Wentz.
Well, and in turn his job, right? Like that's the reality of the NFL, man, is you don't do a good job, you get the boot. So
gone.
3 years, what was it, 3 years ago he took him to a Super Bowl, and now he's fired, right? Mike McCarthy literally cut mid-season after going to the playoffs the year before.
Well, again, Philadelphia is one of those organizations where there's like no room for error, right? It's like if you went to,
rich history, right?
Yeah. Like as soon as there's like an uproar in the city of, I mean, as silly as it sounds, right? Yeah. The fans and the local radio, as soon as they start saying, the coach is off, Peterson's awful, we need to get him out of here, and people start to get unhappy, they have major like sponsorships and people that, pay big money, at or around the team, and they start whispering in the GM or the owner's ear, and before you know it, they're out. Any other, like the Colts, Peterson would have they would have let it ride for a couple more seasons, first,
that's fair.
But when you're in Philadelphia, there's a very high standard for football, and he wore out his welcome, go from a Super Bowl to being cut, that fast. That I can only name about 4 or 5 other organizations that would happen. Philly, Dallas, probably San Francisco, even, and that's about it, really. So,
No, I love it, man. That actually wraps up all the questions we have. So I just wanted to thank you again for coming on the show. I truly appreciate it, Chris. I'm hoping I can win some money, but more importantly, I'm just happy that I got to sit down and have an hour and a half conversation with you about some football, because it's been long overdue. So thanks for coming on, man.
Oh, absolutely. Thanks so much for having me. I had a blast. I could go for another hour and a half, but maybe we'll set that up in the future. Come back on later down the road, and I will be knocking at your door Monday morning in my bare feet, wanting my money when you win that $1.5 million. So
there we go.
Good luck to you. And again, thanks for having me on. And I appreciate everybody that went out of their way to, send questions. Gemmo, Steve, Tyler, everybody. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank all you guys. And Gemmo, thank you so much for all your interaction today. I really appreciate you sticking with us through the whole episode, and keeping that comment, what's this called? Comment chat open and active. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate it. And you have yourself a great night. All right, Chris? Oh, wait, before I go, guys, go check out Viridian Global. That's where all of our merchandise is on. Here, I'll pull it up for you so you can see the ticker at the bottom of your screen. www.viridianglobal.com. You can find all of your point after stuff on there. We got our own toques now. This is a True North one, obviously, but we got point after toques on there. We've got trucker caps, ball caps, as well as, just t-shirts, long sleeve shirts, sweaters, everything you can think of is getting onto Viridian Global. So go check it out. We're under the True North tag on there. And yeah, I will be back next week. I'm going to have 2 pods coming out. I've got Tyler Moss coming on to do our running back breakdown for the 2021 class. And then on Friday, I have a very exciting show where I'm going to have D Brown as well as Scott Simpson on, and we are going to be
Run
discussing.
the gambit.
Yeah, run the gambit. We're going to be discussing all the stuff that goes on after the Super Bowl, because that's next week. So I'm excited for it. Stay tuned, and I appreciate you guys checking out the show.